Folani. You're at home, it's a holiday, and indeed salutations to our brothers upon the birthday of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Now, the gates opened, the floodgates, some might say, opened to the whole political scenario, especially leading into 2019. So we're going to be hearing a lot more from these aspirants, political aspirants, than we have heard in the past, because there are rules of engagement, and up until yesterday, people weren't allowed to go be saying partisan things and that kind of a thing. But now we're in the season. People can go for it. Of course, within the law. Libel and all of that still applies. But that is part of what we wanted to talk about today. Campaign strategies in a political and an election season such as that is now upon us. Most of you there at home, excusing perhaps our very young children, have seen quite a number of these campaigns in the past, and so they have a very good idea of what to expect. So I wanted to ask my panel, because they are also in that situation of having seen more than a handful of campaigns in the past and where it's got us to now, I wanted to ask my guests, three of them this morning. Enito Lukotun, he's a journalist, and no disrespect, but he doesn't exactly look 65 years old. So I'm therefore saying that he probably sees it more from the perspective of the youth. Thank you very much for coming on, Eni.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being here.
Eni has been a regular contributor on our program. But today, we'll see whether indeed he will be addressing it from the perspective of the new crop of political wannabes, not too young to run. Okay, and right next to him is a much more seasoned when it comes to matter of how many, what is it, what I was looking for a creative word for annual, for, you know, how many annual yam festivals he has seen. It's Dr. Luke Onyekekeya. Dr. Luke is a seasoned journalist. He also is on the editorial board of The Guardian. And indeed, this morning, coincidentally, he does have a piece in The Guardian that reflects on our subject. Thank you very much for coming on, Luke.
Thank you very much.
Indeed. And our friend, Mr. Festus Akitola, who is a social commentator, political affairs analyst, and this morning will be joining my guest in taking on a sort of a pseudo role of campaign consultant to the politicians out there that shall be coming to lay their wares before us. Everybody's selling us, everybody's going to be telling us that you never had it, you go with me, your problems are over. We've been hearing these kind of things. You go with me, that's not going to be an issue anymore. But first of all, on a general question of, do you think Nigerians have become campaign weary? Let me just start from that point of view and just get your quick views on it. And by that, I mean, do campaigns really matter anymore? In other words, are we sure that Nigerians actually take the content and communication in those campaigns into effect when they make the all-important decision of who to cast their vote for? Let me start with you, Eni. Do campaigns really matter to Nigerians?
Yes, of course. No, campaign really matters because as a politician, as a political party, you have to sell your manifestos, your agenda, what you intend to do, you know, to the people. So in every election, you know, cycle, you definitely, politician must, you know, articulate what they want to do, you know, another. Even if in some cases, some of those promises could be vague, you know, could be amorphous that you couldn't even, you know, pin one or two, you know, of those promises down, but they still need to talk to the people.
Indeed.
But if you look at it, it is as, you know, important and essential, you know, in our political, you know, environment for you to bring out what you want to do, you know, to the people. But it is another thing entirely if you eventually, fulfill those things that you have promised to do. But people will have something to hold you onto that. Wait a minute, to promise us you are going to do A, B, C, D. So it is important.
It is.
And if you look at it very well, Nigerians and the mass of our people are really looking at what political party candidates, what they are bringing forward. So in my own kind of estimation, I don't think people are quite disillusioned.
Or campaign weary or anything like that.
So they still want to, so there is still an atmosphere for people to be hopeful.
Okay.
That, okay, let's hear if anybody is saying anything.
Interesting.
Anything new.
Interesting.
Really.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Dr. Luke, I asked the question, and it's the same question that I want you to comment on. I asked the question against the backdrop of us all having seen these live campaigns on television. And since the matters that are being presented are of crucial importance, and you see the whole atmosphere of a campaign, it's anything but something like a symposium. In fact, it's like a rally, it's like a carnival. There's a band going on somewhere. There's all sorts of entertainment going on. And the point is that, like in drama plays, in a form, a campaign is perhaps a form of drama. A message is supposed to be embedded in there that Annie was referring to. What do you think about whether or not people internalize and take away from those campaigns the points that the politicians would want them to take away? Don't forget that there are different skill levels, different communication levels, different oratory levels, and but people will still have their moment in the sun.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we should start by saying welcome to another season of political campaigns. What it means is that another 4 years has rolled away, or is rolling away, and we are in a new political campaign season. That is one. Then on whether Nigerians are expectant of what these politicians are going to say, the answer is yes, just like my colleague said earlier. And then this year's political campaign is unique in one way. There are 70 aspirants or contenders or contestants. We have the old faces. Then we have new people. And Nigerians would like to hear, especially the new people. Nigerians would like to hear what they're going to say. Then the old people, is incumbent on them to adopt new strategy because people have had them before. And people have tasted them before. So Nigerians are expectant.
And in a sense, those ones are carrying much more baggage than the new crop of young, youthful politicians.
Sure, and that is why they need to retune their campaign in such a way that people can listen. You have to say something that may attract somebody, Then the next thing is there is saying what you want to do as a politician during campaign is one thing. Then that thing you said, whether it's going to have an influence on the electorate for them to vote for you is another thing. People will rally, people will always come to listen. But the decision on whether that will make them vote for you is a different thing.
But does it depend on the skill of the person putting the message out?
To a large extent, I would say it's 50-50. 50-50. Because just last night on the telly, I think one of the channels, people were being interviewed. Are you going to vote for so because of what he's going to say? People say they have already made up their mind. People say, I've already decided the person I'm going to vote. So, like I said, John the Baptist in the Bible said, what have you people come out to hear? You want to see somebody who is dressed like a madman speaking? So people will come out, but a lot of people have already made up their mind on who to vote.
Thank you very much, Luke. And I can now bring that, it so fortuitously landed where I wanted to go. It's a rephrasing of my question of is anything different? Is it going to have an effect? What they say there, would it have an effect? Would it make those there change if they, we're not going to vote for them? In effect, I couldn't put it better than Luke put it when he reported that some people have said that I've already made up my mind. Let them come and say what they want to say. I know who I'm going to vote for.
Well, I want to look at this effect of this campaign in terms of looking at the class of people that you are marketing yourself to.
Okay, your target.
Your target.
Your target audience.
That is exactly where we are going to. Let us look at where the target is coming from. You see, there are some voters in this country that they have been brainstormed. Whatever, they are not even interested in it. They don't even know what's the meaning of manifesto. Yes.
Okay. To not take anything importantly.
Not as if to take importantly. We know quite well over times. With the series of elections we have in this country, that some people, there are certain class of voters that they are normally. You will be told whom you are going to vote for. And that is the way it has always been over time. We know some part of the country that will say, look, a group of social groups will come and say, this is whom we are supporting. And that is what their follower will follow, no matter how good the manifestos of the opponent parties could be. So when you are looking at, in terms of the market you are looking at what your target is. I think the effect on campaign is only going to be on the learned, so to say, not on the other side of the world.
Okay.
It's going to be focused on the learned. Let us see what is in your manifestos. Let us see what, well, to me, the new the newcomer to this stage, you see, looking at the trends of election in this country, they don't have the political structure to capture the center at large. And I think the focus on Nigeria...
So no matter how good your message
no matter how well
it is put out,
yes,
if they know or perceive that you don't have the political structure required,
it doesn't have any effect.
It might be something of a waste. I think, where somebody said it once, that it would be effectively the waste of a vote.
Sure.
To cast it for that person.
And then when looking at in terms of the elites, they are the people that are really interested.
I remember it was
Komalafe.
I was quoting her.
Good.
That it would be a waste of a vote to vote in a certain similar kind of scenario.
If you narrow, the election, the coming election will be narrowed down to the two main political parties now, the PDP and the APC, so to say. That is the scenario we are having in this country now. And at the basis of
that's your perspective. Watching the news out there, listening to the news out there, as I said, especially the more youthful players, they're not down with that last point.
No, because if you look at it very well, Uncle Yori, in this climb, playing what I call a fringe politics, it hasn't really paid off. If you look at the political reality and how capital-intensive politics is, everywhere in the world.
Even though those people are saying money doesn't matter, it's the message. It's the message.
Money matters.
Money matters.
Money matters because even if you look at it conservatively, if you want to contest and want to be seen as a serious contender, prior to the election, you have to travel. During the campaigns, you have to visit like 3-4 states in a day. You can't do that using the commercial airliners. It's not possible. You have to at least have a standby jet, that will take you from one state to the other, because you have to speak in those places. And we have about 120,000 polling units scattered all over the country. So you will start losing, even if you are so popular and you don't even have money to pay your agents, people who are going to police and monitor your votes. Even if all the elite and the masses are in tune with your message and they love you, and they have already, delivered their vote to you, and there is nobody to police your votes, from the polling unit to the ward level, to the LG, to the state collation center, and so on. So if you look at the logistics itself, and even if you look at the amended law that stipulate the amount that a presidential candidate should spend, I think, about 5 billion if I'm
or thereabouts.
So that's
or thereabouts, but there's absolutely no way of monitoring it.
Let us
just say that.
No way of monitoring.
Let us just say that.
We are talking about the threshold. That is the barest minimum. If you really want to be seen serious and you want to have the national spread and have the visibility.
No, sir. The point I was making is that according to regulation, there's a limit, there's a cap. You can't just throw everything and the kitchen sink at it. But
the money is not coming from the presidency
there's no way
alone.
of monitoring it.
So the candidates alone. There are supporters.
What I'm saying is that even if you look at that threshold that is required, it is not it is not a chicken change. So it requires a lot of money. Election costs billions.
Okay.
If you are talking about it. So if you look at it very well, if you look at these younger politicians who are joining the fray, their message quite resonates with the people and all that. But in this kind of environment where everything, from the campaign posters to the advert to the logistics to the traveling to some other things that will come up, it actually requires a lot of money. But if you don't have that money, if you have the message, there is no way you are going to pull it through.
Okay.
That is exactly what we are talking about.
Luke, can I clarify something there?
Please.
Yes, you see, let us be careful in talking about money.
Because I was going to ask a question, but you quickly came in. Because I was going to, I'm sorry for interrupting. What I was going to ask relates to what the first sentence you made. I was going to say that, look, when I said campaigns, perhaps I had more in mind rallies. But there are different aspects to campaign. There's the whole internet side to it. There's the whole newspaper side to it. There's the whole sticker on the wall side to it. Perhaps, and I talked about the carnival atmosphere and whether any serious communication could be going on there.
Yeah, that's why I said let us be careful in talking about money. You see, there's this saying that if you come out in the morning and a chicken starts pursuing you, that you should run away because you don't know whether it has developed teeth in the night. You see?
You took my mind to Chino Achebe for a different reason.
Now, we have young people who have entered the ring to contest. We don't know have we seen their account? We don't know. We don't know the weight of the account. We don't know the weight of our Atiku's account. We don't know Buhari. We don't know anybody's account.
We don't know.
Or
Showore's account.
You don't know whether those people are being sponsored by some other people who have money. I mean, anything can happen along the line. So I think we should concentrate on this issue of campaigning.
Because that's why.
Reason being that.
Any went into the logistics.
Yes. Reason being that.
Well, Doctor, I don't think we can divulge our past from the future. If you look at the records of election process in this country, we have
campaigns. I'm talking about campaigns
campaigning,
now.
yes. Campaign in this country before. You see, in 1979, we have the likes of Awolowo, we have the likes of Alhaji Shehu Shagari, and Tunji Braithwaite.
Yes.
Tunji Braithwaite asked a lot of ideas that time. He has a lot of things that address the issue of the masses at hand. But how far does it go? Gani Fawehinmi came out sometime. He has the money. He has a lot of ideas. But how far did he go? That is exactly what we are saying. That is, money takes a huge part in electioneering campaign.
What do you mean by that last statement? Money takes a huge part. Direct buying of the vote.
This is not by buying of the vote. It's about the logistics of the campaign. You are organizing a rally. You want to organize a rally. How much does it take to call? An average rally in this country will take you nothing less than 2 to 3, 4 million naira.
Uncle Yori.
One moment, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can we assume that all the political contestants can organize rallies?
Yes. Okay.
Yes, of course.
Let's assume that.
Let's assume that.
Let's not look at the logistics of organizing.
Okay.
Each and every one of them is in a position to organize rallies. And then let us focus on when you now organize rally, you come, a lot of people are there. And I want to listen to you. They want to hear. I think that's what should be our focus.
That is exactly where we want to be.
Let us leave whether they have money or not.
Yes,
we assume they have money. That's why they are contesting.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I would really like us to stay within the stricture, because there's so many different aspects to this.
Because if we start talking of money,
it's
like we're talking of they are going to
what
sell,
is new
buy votes or something like that.
What is new on the political landscape is that now people can campaign, and so we want to, stick with the message, of campaign.
Yes, of course. Now, if you look at it, the whole thing has started. Now, if you look at APC, for instance, APC hinged its own campaign promise on the next level. Now, what they are telling the people is that we have started some things. You can look at our social investment program. You see the trader money. You see the market money. You see the school feeding program. You see our, the way we have been able to tackle insurgency to a very great extent, that they have freed, according to them, 17 local governments. They were once under the, control of the Boko Haram. They are telling us about how, they rescued the nation out of a recession. They are telling us again about how they have effectively contained the scourge of corruption.
So all of these messages is what they're going to have to now distribute between rallies, TV campaigns, billboard campaigns, newspaper campaigns.
Now, now, if you
all of it is campaign.
So, if you now look at it very well, I think it actually resonates, and they have been able to connect it in such a way that they want to take it higher, which is the next level, to consolidate on what they have started, and that's why they are asking for, for another term.
Now, one moment, please.
All right.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much. Look, you see, this is the interesting thing about the political game, shall we say. It's much more serious than a game, but they call it a game. Yeah. Because everybody else is going to seek to be countering, those particular claims, and that's what it's about. They're going to try and be saying that, in spite of that soft, beautiful music you heard here, listen to this.
Yeah, you see.
For instance, Atiku has said that, what's this other thing?
Let Nigeria work again.
What's the big one? The big one being that...
he said he's going to lift 50 million Nigerians out of poverty. That's the latest I saw this morning. Now...
In addition to, you have restructuring if I become president.
In addition to restructuring. Now, you see, during this period, anybody can say anything. And each and every one of them can say anything. If you saw the newspaper yesterday, all these things you listed, some other party, it was APC that said next level. PDP took it each by each. They now said 2015, a bag of rice was 8,000. Today, it is 18,000. The next level, it will be 30,000.
Yes.
Today, a bag, 2015, a bag of cement.
Parodying all those.
That's the way they analyze it, and they kind of dislodge the whole thing.
Okay.
Especially as we've heard the idea that I've already made up my mind who I'm going to vote for before the campaign.
You see, in 2015, APC came up with change. There's no way you can puncture change. There was no way you can puncture change.
That was well thought out.
Yes, well thought out. But when you start, if you are not careful, you
now political opponents are parodying.
Because when you say anything, the other group, they have a workroom.
Yes, of course.
They have their workroom where people, everything you say, they analyze it.
Yes. And
so if you say next level, the interpretation in the newspaper yesterday was that the suffering today is going to the next level. All of us are going to suffer more. That's the way that is in the newspaper. So I'm not saying my mind.
So like all communications, you spoke about the target audience. These people are banking on the target audience getting a certain meaning from what they are saying. So that when, for example, we're going to the next level, and then the other party comes along and takes each point and says the next level is negative. Although everything APC negative. Meant it to be positive.
Yes.
But now they are turning it into a negative. Now, if you've already made up your mind who you're going to vote for anyhow, aren't you going to say something like, it's mudslinging, I'm going to vote for X? Nobody can tell me otherwise. No matter how much mud they throw, I am still voting for X.
That is exactly what we are looking at. Like I told you earlier on that, we can classify in the Nigerian voters into the informed and the non-informed. For the informed, come out with your manifestos. Your antecedents will judge you.
Yes.
That is the way we are going to look at it. I mean, you are he's really talking about the next level now. Doctor is talking about the next level now. And the other party is just looking at it. Somebody want to, make their manifestos. They cannot make it in Nigeria. Somebody has to travel to Dubai to go and make manifestos and import it into Nigeria. That whatever is not made in Nigeria for Nigeria cannot work in this country. That is, it only tells you the reality of what you are going to do when you are coming to a common man. Why can't, if you are looking for a private side, the privacy or the silencing in some place, Obudu rank is there. Why do you need to travel to Dubai because you want to draw your manifesto? These are counter-campaigning strategy from all sorts of people.
Going off to Iceland to strategize is irrelevant. It's irrelevant actually to the campaign that you put on ground. And since we are told consistently that politics is a game of numbers, gentlemen, if we think of this pyramid, the base of the pyramid is where the most damage or the most good masses can be done.
Yes.
It's a game of numbers. Now, we're talking about this enlightened, the enlightened, literate, educated. That's towards the tip of the pyramid.
That is
and it's still one vote per one man.
Exactly.
Except there is one up there who can influence, 200 million people. I don't know.
Forget
but
Nigerian.
It's a game of numbers.
Don't forget in
their communication strategy, should they be addressing the base of the pyramid where they're the most people?
Don't forget in Nigeria.
If you look at it,
don't forget in Nigeria that the elite don't really show interest in politics.
No, even
the elite. Look, if you go out to the polling booth and there is sun eating you, you walk back to your house.
Okay.
Whereas the masses will stay there.
Okay.
These are the people that determine the bulk of votes comes from the lower cadre, not the elite.
Okay, we're looking at strategies for the politicians in their campaign. That's what we're doing.
Yes, of course, and I see that plays out in the strategy of the APC. Part of their communication strategy is to state that they are working for the greatest number of the people.
And show their records of achievement.
Greatest number.
Strategy.
So it's the greatest number. So now what they are telling is that if anybody, like the way the opposition PDP has been, trying to dismantle, or to decimate their claims and saying that next level. So they will tell you that it is the only excluded harmful privilege who could not continue to hold the country by the jugular, that are making noise, that are complaining, that the average market woman out there can feel the impact of the government through the trade assistant money, the student, the pupils that they are feeding in all the school feeding. So if you are talking about the government or the goods of the government going to the greatest number of the people, so that is they are actually targeting and addressing the base, the people at the bottom of the pyramid.
Okay, I've got to go on a commercial break now, but don't go anywhere, please, at home. We'll be right back. We'll include your calls. Okay, welcome back. And the trio of Enito Lukoto, a journalist, Dr. Luke Onyekekaya, editorial board of the Guardian newspaper member, and Mr. Festus Akitola, social commentator and political affairs analyst. By the way, I didn't mention that, or did I, that Enito is a journalist. Yes. We're looking at campaigns, and we've come now to the actual communication part of it. There's been a sort of a leaning, and it started off from Eni, who didn't think very much of the chances of the youthful elements that have stepped onto the stage to claim their right to participate, and indeed, if possible, take it over. it doesn't see, interesting, you're youthful yourself,
of course.
But you're saying, look, leaving sentiments apart, it's still between the two big players.
Yeah, because I have to be very realistic.
Because
and
you have Shawore and people
yes,
like him. You have Duotoye and people like him.
Of course.
And names, there's so many names.
In as much that I would have loved the people of my generation to actually get there, but you must look at politics vis-a-vis the reality, on ground, because politics, practical politics is not academic.
There is no intellectual impairment. There is no intelligence impairment. But it comes down to what? Is it money or experience?
It goes beyond that, because if you look at it, if you look at when these people even started, I think they started barely 1 year, 2 year mass.
Yes.
2 years ago. For you to have the natural spread and have people at least in each ward.
So too much catching up to do to be effective is what you are thinking.
Yes, of course. Even if they have the whole money.
Let me bring in Abdullahi. He's calling in from Abuja. Good morning, Abdullahi.
Good morning, Ayuri.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Abdullahi Baja.
Okay. Please go ahead, sir.
I'm calling you from Abuja.
Yes. Okay. Please go ahead, sir.
I'm calling you from Abuja.
Yes, we're glad to have you.
I'm the real and original indigenous of Plateau State.
Okay.
Kanam local government, Garbajar Ward.
Okay.
The reason why I give you my full biography. So, what are we talking about? Number one, I want to talk about the document presented by the presidential candidates of the PDP. Person who understand business, but over 500 members of his political party to other countries. From meeting, ordinary meeting, even Hilton go take all these kind of meetings where they support. People who understand business, the accommodation, it is for one hotel in Nigeria here. Can we not going to benefit through to that? This is number one. So number two is that, is it article that we know is or other article from somewhere? I am sorry for calling them. We are on the time now. This article, person that hold the office of board of the economy last 18 years, what is there on the ground? That article will show us that article, not especially PDP, are complaining for 3 years and they have for APC. Now article document showing that 7 years planning. Why he 7 years plan for Nigeria? But now they are complaining that APC government never do anything for 3 years. Why he brought us planning for 7 years? We are not going back. We are looking forward. I don't know any person unless President Muhammadu Buhari.
Thank you very much, Abdullahi. Appreciate your calling in. Yeah, so just keep the calls coming in. And thank you very much, Abdullahi, for keeping it decent and respectable. And that's what all our viewers, I'm sure, will also go by.
Okay, we are talking about...
I'm going to come to you, sir.
Okay.
Let me just come in this way, sir.
Yes. I was trying to refer to my column for today in The Guardian. And the title is, no empty promises.
Okay.
There should be no empty campaign promises to the people.
All the gladiators out there.
Yes, because over the years, you mentioned our founding fathers when they were campaigning. They talked about roads, bridges, schools, basic necessities of life. As far back as in the 60s, First Republic, Second Republic, 1979, and so on. It's the same thing. Now, in 2018, leading to 2019 election, those problems are still there, largely there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but the attitude today to the target audience is different from then. Then it was a big deal. Now, the much more discerning audience is saying that Stop all of that. Well, that's part of governance. That's part of competency.
Good.
I take that for granted. Talk about something else.
Yes, that is why I wrote today that
no empty promises.
There should be no empty promises.
Okay, one moment, sir. Yakub, good morning and thank you for holding on. Yakub.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir, and thank you for holding on.
Sir, can you hear me, sir?
We can hear you.
Good morning, yeah. Good morning to your guest in this video.
Thank you, good morning.
I think the game has started. I think we are in the era of politics now. The next level, I think the next level to me is a one. Secretly, without mentioning anybody's name, because I will employ the other party, let this campaign begin with issues on ground, and then we depart to go for it. Are you getting that? No, actually, next level, you can see the railway from Abuja to Kaduna started from the last government. But this government finished it up. That is the next level for you. Similarly, the 3,000 megawatts that APC government made on grant, they can be able to take it up to 7,000 megawatts. That is next level for me. Similarly, I can tell you for free today.
Okay, but Yakub, I just wanted you to please understand one thing.
I'm listening to you.
All those campaigns out there, I don't want us to begin to rehash them, but the question we're asking is whether all of it is going to make a difference to perhaps the wary Nigerian voter. You've heard the idea that some people, when interviewed, said, I know who I'm going to vote for. It doesn't matter what else happens out there. So it's in that context of the effect the campaigns are going to have and what the strategy of those people should be if they hope to make any inroads. That's what I want us to concentrate on, sir.
Yes. Fine, sorry. Let me tell you this, Professor. You see, whether they campaign or they campaign, but to us to campaign, let people know what you do. You get it now. Yes, there are some people that have already made up their mind who they are going to vote for. But the majority of people, they are in the locality. You here in Dopemu, I can be able to tell you that in my own capacity, I know what to tell people to vote for who I want them to vote for. That is that. But when you go on social media, a lot of people on social media, they don't even have to vote out. That is the truth of the matter. The market woman who benefit from the product money, the market money. They know who they are going to vote for. Yes, there's no doubt about it. The election is going to be good. It will be good. There's no doubt about that. So because the remaining people that come out that they want to be a president, they don't even have the money because you can't talk about it.
Okay, let's leave the money part of it for now. Thank you very much. Let's leave the money part of it. We're talking about the communication. You, Yakub, he's gone. I wanted to ask him, for example, a rhetorical question because I know Yakub quite well. I wanted to ask him that, look, if you hear a certain communication that is so powerful, so effective, and so logical, and quite frankly, incontrovertible, would you therefore go with that person? I can almost guess with what Yakub is going to say. He's going to say, no way, because I have my eyes, because I've seen this, I've seen that. So that's what that's the kind of principle we're looking at. The effectiveness and the effect of all these campaigns to the people, even though we know that it's indispensable. We must have campaigns. But is it going to make any difference?
What I was saying before, he started calling was, let the campaign be on issues.
On issues?
And let it be realistic.
Okay.
There is no need telling us that once I'm voted into power, I'm going to bring 20,000 kilowatts of electricity. For me, it is empty promise. It can't work.
Or that I'm going to bring the dollar naira rate to 52 naira.
One to one. It won't work. Or I'm going to whatever. All those kind of bogus promises. Can these politicians, can they tell the people what is realistic and what they know they can do?
Okay.
So that at the end of the day, there will be, everybody will be happy. Mm-hmm. If you say, I will create jobs.
And tell us how.
You tell us how. Because I have, you know, in my column, I said, if anybody is talking of creating job in Nigeria, mm-hmm. without talking of power supply, the person is just telling lies.
Okay. Nelson in Benin, good morning. Okay, did you want to come in now?
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. I thought you changed your mind.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, Uncle Yori. You see, this so-called campaign they are talking about is that, one, you see, if these are political gladiators, if this is from the First Republic, Second Republic strategy of campaigning. You know, in First Republic, so by then I was gone, but from history, I was able to come back to history to study the political strategy of the First Republic, Second Republic, political gladiators. These people, they be telling us that we will give you roads, we will give you light, we will give you power, we will give you job, we will give you so we give you. These are basic things that we are supposed to have in Nigeria, and these things I'm very, very sure that in 2019 they will still come back and also promise us those things that we are supposed to have and make our policy. So that's why newsrooms goes into politics, because you know that manifestos are so cheap. Let them tell us about, but let them give us policy that we alleviate Nigeria from poverty. Let them give us policy that will give us good health care. Let them give us policy that will make 80% of Nigerians to be educated. Let them give us policy that will make, if you don't have a sponsor to send your, that will send you to school, you will be able to. You will have that privilege of going to school, not coming to give us cheap manufacturers. I will give you road. I will give you life.
All right, then. I got to interrupt you now, but I want to thank you very much for calling in. That's something of a shopping list for that particular gentleman, Nelson, of what he expects to be persuaded on at any campaign rally or any political campaign communication.
Yes, you see, when I want to...
In other words, he seems to be saying,
yes.
he seems to be saying, I want them to keep it real.
Real.
And
yes.
if they don't keep it real, I will know.
I wouldn't want to buy the idea of an empty promises. All over the world. Even when we talk of America.
What don't you want to buy? That don't make empty promises? You don't want to buy that concept?
Oh, it is realistic. It is realistic, part and parcel of politicians that will come with promises.
Lawyers and politicians,
yes,
they're sort of expected to bend to the
parameter. Is the parameter, is the hurdle rate, is the fulcrum at which we are going to measure their performances over time.
Oh, so they're allowed to perform a bit.
Yes.
And that performance might be bending the truth.
I'm going to improve 2,000 megawatts to 10,000 megawatts. Mm-hmm. It's realistic. It's realistic. The future, they say, belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dream. It is.
That's a hairbreadth away from empty promises.
Part of their campaign strategy should be that they should pay meticulous attention to whatever they are doing, their conduct, their saying, their body language. Everything will count at this point in time.
Okay. All right. Ayo in Oshogbo, good morning. I don't think Ayo is ready, or is he?
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
And good morning to you. Yeah. Uncle Yori, 2019 election is going to be a very interesting election because it's going to be an issue-based election. And Nigerians are more wise now. But Uncle Yori, let us be realistic. This contest is between two people. No doubt about it.
Okay. But you know how many political parties are registered, and you're now saying it's between only two people.
Who vote in Nigeria? Who vote? I know how many political parties are registered, but let me tell you, the reality is that two people. Let me tell you something. The people who live in Yakofuji in Zamfara doesn't even know a Showore, they only know Buhari and Atiku. let's leave that aside. But let me tell you on priori that 3 categories of people who vote in Nigeria. The first category are people who listen to campaigns, who decide on issues. The second category are people who are influenced by other people, either monetary or otherwise. The third category of people are fanatical followers for a political party. So these 3 categories, the first one listens to campaign, the second one doesn't even listen to campaign. The third one is to campaign to criticize other parties.
Thank you very much for calling in. Really appreciate your call. Removing for the moment the fanatical, supporter of any particular politician, that person is going to vote that way. I think he then also mentioned something about some people who, even though they are one, effectively can call on thousands and thousands and thousands of, instruct thousands of votes how to go.
Yes, of course. Those are opinion molders and influencers. People who actually, exercise some level of influence.
So even though they themselves will cast only one vote, they also have an influence on.
Yes, of course, because they are
maybe millions others.
Yeah, they are respected opinion molders. For instance, probably by the virtue of the status, or the probably adjudge his decision as quite better for them and all that, they are going to follow. So if you look at it by and large, there are still a lot of people in the valley of indecision. They are yet to decide, despite the fact that we have some people, there are some hardliners that are going to convert. That are going to convert.
Because we're seeing surprising conversions on the political scenario, even though it's all with enlightened self-interest.
Convert before the election. For instance, even if you look at it from ethnic, religious point of view, before the election as well, if the present government could do 1 or 2 things in some region to show to them that people will still vote along ethnic, religious lines and all that. So the permutation or anybody who says, I've already made up my mind about 6 months, 3 months to the election and all that, a sizable amount of people within that category will still probably change their mind by the time they see more.
What have to say to that? Look, what do you have to say to that point?
Well, I agree.
Keep your gunpowder dry, seems to be what Eni is saying.
I agree. There are people who can influence people to vote. Is there. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, the point I will stress in this conversation is that Nigerians are used to election promises, campaign promises that are not fulfilled. Because if all these things, like my colleague is saying here, if all the promises that have been made since 1960s, if they were fulfilled, we will not be at the level we are today. Do you understand? When we were in the university, we were studying Nigeria, as a developing country. It's like Nigeria has left that status. We are now underdeveloped. Do you understand? 1980s, we were in the university, economic studies and the rest of them. We are studying Nigeria as one of the developing countries. Today, it's no more like that. During the 80s, we had what we call, the structure of Nigerian economy. Today, you can't say this is the structure of Nigerian economy. So are we moving forward or backward?
Okay, one moment, please. Let me, good morning, Femi in Ibadan. Femi, I just called you. Morning, Femi. Hello, Femi.
Yeah, good morning. Jerry, how are you?
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, I just wanted to chip in on the topic of discussion this morning.
Go ahead, please.
About the political strategy that the political party...
Campaign strategy, political campaign strategy. Okay, the campaign strategy.
I'm sorry?
Narrowing our focus onto campaign political communications.
I'm hearing you.
You can't hear me. Please continue.
What now?
Please continue. Just go on, please.
Okay. It seems to me as if... can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. To me, I think, I believe that Nigeria's electoral outcome is relatively easy to predict. In the sense that as much as you expect to have individual decisions be made by the electorate towards election, Nigeria's electoral process, not the electoral situation, to me is very different in the sense that you have different power blocks in different geopolitical regions. The 4 to 5 months towards the election is when you can pretty much predict where the pendulum is going to be swinging. In the sense that the moment you see from power centers and power block migrating from one political party to the other, that should pretty much give you an indication of who's more than likely going to win. What we're seeing right now, I hope some of your analysts understand this, is that there is more of a swing from PDP to APC. So, and even aside from that, I believe that this is the first time in the history of democracy in the country that we have a government that is genuinely committed to what one of the panelists said on the elevation of the people in the bottom rung of the pyramid.
Thank you very much for calling in. Got to interject there. Appreciate your call. It's because of time. What Femi is saying, if I got him right, is that it's pretty fluid. And so there are rich pickings for those who come to the field. I hope I sort of paraphrased it well, that it's pretty fluid and people can't make up their minds too early, which is the second time that idea has been flown. And therefore, there are much rich pickings if you know how to go about it. I don't know, whose turn was it? Please.
Well, you see, if you look at it...
that people should just be patient, watch all the movements, the dynamic motions, and then you have a very clear idea of who is likely to win, and maybe then cast your vote so it's not a wasting asset.
He has rightly classified the voting class into 3 groups. Rightly, the caller rightly classified the political, voting populace into 3 groups, and these 3 groups are very, very, very common. And like I told you, the people in the lower pyramids, there are people. At the
base of the pyramid.
Yes, at the base of the pyramid, they are the most, and that is where we get the bulk of the votes. And now again, it remains the fact that
that is where some at the tip of the pyramid have a great influence on the base of the pyramid.
The base of the pyramid, because they are the people that
this is how you should go.
Yes, this is how you should go. And this is, in fact, there are some, tribal class that will line their wives, and is wherever the husband go, that is where they go. They don't even have the mind of their own.
Okay, but we're talking about the communication part of it. And gentlemen, I'm surprised how time flies the way it does. We've spent about an hour at it, and we have no more time. But it seems that the point that Luke made in his column in The Guardian this morning, that, look, no empty promises, please. And in any case, hopefully Nigerians by now can discern which one is an empty promise and which one is not. That we will actually be landing a man on Mars if you vote for me in the next 3 years. I think Nigerians can read that. So, okay, you've spoken well. Yeah. Thank you very much. So, gentlemen, regrettably, I wish I could continue. This is where we got to let go of this. But I'm sure it's a subject we're going to return to again and again and again. Sure. Thank you very, very much, Dr. Luke Onyekekaya, member editorial board of The Guardian newspaper. Thank you, Eni Olukotunwo, journalist. And thank you, sir, Mr. Festus Akitola. Our pleasure. So that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.